traders, welcome to daily webinar. Reminder to all, this video is going to be the weekly outlook. My apologies to the YouTube traders who were looking for it since morning. I had to go to my son's school. They're celebrating 50 years of the UAE, the formation of the United Arab Emirates, which is a big deal. It's 50 years. So the school is celebrating and they invited the parents. So I was there. Sorry for that. Let's go now. Let's start. So let's go to the dollar index. So dollar index. Dollar index is already going up. And like I said, we've already agreed that there's a high probability that this is already a contracting flat, which means we might not break the low and we're going to go break the top. We cannot confirm a contracting flat until it's finished. And I'll explain that very quickly why that is not possible. Not until this breaks the top can we confirm that this is a contracting flat. We can make an assumption that it's possible in a contracting flat, but the confirmation comes when it breaks out. And the reason for that is that we don't know how complex this pattern could get, which means I don't know that this is not making something similar to this again. Right? We don't know whether this comes back here, go back like this, come back here, go back like this, end up there, give us another impulse like this, and then goes up. That would be a contracting triangle if it's smaller than this one. If it's actually bigger than that, then there can be a series of them that could go sideways. And I mean a series of this thing going sideways using the same possible pattern with expanding flats or running flats or contracting flats in them, or a series of flats inside the flats. So the only way you can confirm that this is a contracting flat is when it breaks out. That doesn't stop you from trading. Right? It's not, this has nothing to do with trading, just the confirmation of the analysis. Now we are assuming that it's a contracting flat so far because this is going up really far, very deep back into this impulse. So the assumption is that we're going to go break the top. Now, two things I warn you guys about is that we have a very sharp move here. And at any point in time, we will get a sharp reversal here, either here or they can go back up. Or some point they will make a sharp one like this, give us a running flat and then continue to go. Also, if you look in the lower time frame, in the 4 hour and the 1 hour, there was another sharp move that we were saying that could make a possible running flat, and that is this one. Right? This one could be a standalone, but it's a little too sharp, so there's a possibility that this could give us something like this and go back up one more. And then we get the bigger running flat way down in the line, maybe a couple months from now. That is possible. Right? So is it going to be this making the big one now? Is it trying to make this running flat and go up? Or is it even trying to make a flat of its own? Which means could this possibly be a flat of its own here and then go up like this, for example? And that is also possible. See? So which one out of those three versions we're going to have? This is the analysis. You decide that these three possibilities exist. Then you say, okay, which one you think is forming now? And if either of them is going to happen, how would you trade it? So then we go into the 1 hour and we look, okay, do we have a buy setup? Because it doesn't matter which one out of those three is starting, right? The chances are this will have to correct back into this. If we're making a flat of our own here, then this would start to become a correction back to the top, come down here and then go. So we can trade this to the upside, right? If this is making a running flat here, then this to the upside would be a very sharp impulse. So we would definitely look for a buy setup to go with that. Right? Well, if it's coming down back, if we're actually going to make the big correction, then what would likely happen after an impulse like this would come back to the low here. In that case, we don't have a buy setup unless you want to buy this and then a drop. So what we would normally do is once we see this happen, we'd allow it to go back up. Or, you know, some traders might even buy this because you assume it's going to go break the top if you get a running flat. And then we're looking for the sell setup, because the sell becomes a bigger move to the downside. So two of them we will go with the buy setup. One of them we will not get the buy because it's coming down. Right now in the 1 hour, we have a flag in the making. So we've got a sharp move up and we've got a flag forming here. You can make an assumption that it's over, or you can make an assumption that it's be a bigger flag and then go. Either way, if you take the trade, and you probably should take the trade. So if we look in the 15, you can already make the assumption, maybe this is the expanding flat and we're going. Could it be an expanding triangle forming? They come back here like this, a series of these, and then, you know, they come here and they go. Could we get something like that and then go? All of that is possible. So if you're going to take the trade, how do you take the trade? Well, normally we will take the trade in the break of the stop, which is what I would do, take the break of the top and the stop under the low. Because I'm not expecting them to break that low again as yet, right? Unless we start to get a correction coming down here. But that doesn't mean I have to stay with that stop. Now we have a series of rules, which we call trade management, right? Something you hear very little of. Well, you'll start to hear about it a lot now because I'm talking about it. Trade, that's how we're going to manage the trade, not money management, not risk management, but trade management. It means you're in the trade, and what do you do? Some people out there will tell you either allow it to go to your target or you allow it to go to your stop, and that's pure nonsense because it might not even get to your target or get to your stop, or it might get close to your target and then return and take you out, or it might come very close to your stop and then go back and take you out. So there's a number of things that could happen, and unless you understand market structure, wave analysis, it's going to be tough to decide which one is happening. So what we're going to look for here is we have three possibilities. We know what they're going to look like. We know how the chart is going to start to behave if any one of those three possibilities are going to come up, and we'll make a decision what to do with the trade. So practically, some of my traders should actually be in the trade already. But since this is the first webinar for the day that I am doing, and I think the guys were already, some of the guys were already in the room in the Asian session when I came in. I don't know if they're in the trade, but they could probably be in it. But if you're not in the trade, the bonus is you can come and put the entry order above the top, which is in my room. I'm not making a trade call here to anyone. I'm telling you what we would do in our trading. If I'm coming in now and I'm seeing it like this, I would say, you know what, why get in the trade? Let me just put my entry just above the top. I still like the trade to the upside, but because it's pulling back a little, I said, okay, I'll wait for that. Let them tell me what to say, right? Because if this goes, I'm in the trade. If this starts to do this, well, I know what to do. I can expect a consolidation here, come back here and then go, right? Can they pull back? Can they tag you and pull back and then go back up? Yeah, all of that is possible. And that's where you manage the trade. So an entry order above the top for a buy is a great idea. That's what we will do, and we'll see where it goes from there. Once we are tagged, we'll manage the trade. Let's go. So silver pretty much dropped. It actually dropped, tag, you pull back. This is one where you would still be in the trade coming down. Came down here. If you close the trade at this level or at this level, you did well. It goes and make a low and they're going up. We have a buy setup, and this is a very good buy setup actually. So you're saying, if someone will say, well, how can you have a buy setup on silver and have a buy setup on the dollar index? That's a very good question. The problem is they don't have to be, either of them might not go, either of them might go, or only one of them might go. And I don't know which one. As long as I see a setup on both of them, I will go with both of them. So if the dollar index is to go down back and the silver take off, I'll be in it. If silver is to come down back all the way to the bottom here, and dollar index goes up, I'll be in the dollar index. And I'd look for a sell on this on the way back up and then downside. I don't know which one is going to go, but I have setups on both of them. So I'll put both setups and then I'll decide which one is going. When the market tells me which one is going, then I'll decide what to do with the other one. Can both of them go up? Absolutely. Dollar gain values and silver gain even much more value than dollar. That is also possible. Either both of them gaining very much value. The only thing is silver value is growing faster than the dollar value. And it doesn't mean that silver price cannot go up. It could. So in that case, we'll see what's happening with this. Now, remember, we broke out of this structure. And once we break out of these structures, the idea is that they'll come and break the low. That's the whole assumption, because you're out of that structure and you're saying, well, why is it trying to do that? Now we made a small flag and we drop. Normally, if they're going to drop very, very sharp, they would just probably continue to drop like here. Like I said, sometimes they would just do this, finish that move, and then start to correct. Now, it could either stop here and, go back up slowly like this, make a new high, and then come back again. It will definitely come back again if they go make a new high, because this looks like we're making some huge sets of corrective structures. It could probably just make a deeper correction here like this, come back here, do this, make a bigger flat here. We have seen that many times, make a bigger correction and then drop again, and then drop again. This one made a deeper correction here and then go back up. So we could possibly get that. And in that case, we still want to buy, even for one impulse. So even if this goes up just for one impulse, and don't go higher, start to come back down, it will either be a small profit or a break-even trade. So if this trade is to, do this and start to come back, you would either get small profit or you get break-even out of the trade. You watch it comes back down like this, Great. We get the buy setup, and then we get this trade. So which is it going to be? I think there's a likelihood it's going to be this, a bigger correction and a drop to break the low, right? Basically, when you see structures behave like this and they break out of that with a sharp move like this down, the chances are you'll get a bigger correction here. You'll probably see something like this here, get a bigger correction and then a drop. Well, let's see which one it is. Can you trade within the correction zone? Well, it depends on the size of it. So the first trade is a risk here, but it's worth taking. Go back on the 1 hour, we have a flag, and that's a buy setup. So we'll see where this takes us. Gold, pretty much the same thing. We drop. Gold, on the other hand, actually has an upside possibility, which means we can go make a new high in gold. Remember this one, and we said that this would likely come back down to this level when we were going up really sharp like this. And we were looking for sells. We sold that, we sell here, we sold there, and we sold this one. Now it's going up. We were looking for it to come back to about this level, which is very close to where we want it to come. I think just a few pips short of getting to this level. And it doesn't have to. You can look at this and clearly call that a running flat. Now we have an impulse and a flag for the upside. That's a must buy. So we actually bought this as well, but you'll be out of that trade for break even or small profit. Now we get a buy here. They drop to the bottom, come back up. That's a buy setup. So you buy this, and the forecast is that we're expecting to make an impulse like this to the upside, right? At least an impulse like this. So the assumption is if you get an impulse, you get a correction, you go for another impulse, which is this one. So if this is starting the up move, that is what we expected to go back to the top there. Now, when you get to the top here, that's where the question starts, because when you look at the entire picture, I think every one of you should have a drawing of this. When we did it I think we did it a while back, right? If you haven't, then you can make your drawing now. You can take a snapshot of this. We have this sharp move up and we have this move down. We have the biggest correction in here. So I think when this was going up, we made that drawing when we said there's a possibility it could come back here. There's a possibility it could go there. And when it gets there, because this would be the biggest flat in the whole structure, higher probabilities will come back here. And when we come back here, and if we assume that this is the biggest flat in here, probabilities they're going to go back there. And when you get there, the chances are they could take the downside. So this is one possible way this whole structure could develop. What is the other way? Well, let's assume this is the low. It didn't break the low, but let's assume, we take that to be the low in a structure that is like this, right? Which means this is part of some kind of a correction with this. This is a 1, 2, 3. That's a normal flat where you have an expanding flat in the middle, a running flat, sorry, in the middle. And this would be a regular flat. And this could be the start of that impulse going up. And this would just take off. So if it's going to be this one, good for you if you get a buy here and it just do that. If it is going to be the one that will come back here and make the flat here and then go down, then it is very good for you, because this is a good trade if that happens, and then we'll get it down and then we'll get it up again. Because by the time they come there, we will see the possibility that it's developing and whether it's going to drop again or whether it's going to continue to go. There are many factors we'll be looking for that will tell us that, including the pattern that are likely developing in this move up. So is it going to go now? I don't know, but if it goes now, that's a good trade. Remember, the first buy that we took didn't go. The first buy we took was on this one. We had this move up. We had this here. So your first buy was here. That one didn't take off. But was it a good buy? Absolutely. Because you didn't know it was not going to go. That came back, whether you got break even or you took it out for a small profit, that's a good trade. What would this one do? You drop, you broke the low, you're making a sharp impulse, you're getting it. It's a good trade to the upside. Is it going to go now? Well, I don't know. Will it stay here for a longer period of time and then go? It will still be a buy. Well, if it comes back to the low here and then start to go back up, it is still a buy, but this is where you'll have to decide whether you want a small trade for a downside or you just don't want to let it go to the top and then look for the sell, because then it becomes a sell setup. The way it's looking right now, it's a very good buy setup. So we'll go with the buy. Euro coming down, silver is a buy, gold is a buy, euro is coming down. See? So what are we expecting in euro? Well, it looks like we might have got a running flat there. This is something we spoke about. We wanted to go back up, give us a running flat, and make a new low. Because we had this sharp one, and then we got some consolidation here and some consolidation, and we're like, you know what, that will probably make a running flat. So if that is the running flat, then we're coming down. You can go for the sell to break the low. Once it breaks the low, you want to be very, very careful. So that is, this right now is an assumption that that is a possible running flat. We don't know that for sure. What we want is a confirmation. The confirmation would be a flag here. And I think you actually had a 1 hour flag here. So that's a sell setup, stop here, and you're aiming to break the low. Now, if you're in that trade, you have to manage the trade. That's all. You have to manage the trade when you get to the bottom. Once it breaks the low, that's where the pattern will be completing itself. That's not where it will end the movement. That is where you start moving your stops and see whether it, what if it doesn't do that? Right? What if it doesn't? What if it just, you know, starts to go back up from here? Well, I don't think it's going to go back as a sharp move. There's a likelihood it will start to go back up like this. You'll get the hell out of the trade because there'll be enough time for you to do that. Right? If it consolidates more, you probably stay in the trade. What if it just pulls back and drop again? You're still in the trade. There are many things that could happen, and each one is whatever the outcome is going to be, there's a set of rules of what we would do. Right? Fun? This broke the low. This was a buy setup on Friday, I think. Friday morning, afternoon, we weren't in the room the second half of the day on Friday because we thought it was a holiday in the US. Well, we thought the market would be quiet, and at the end of the market did move. So I think we were trying to buy this when it dropped to see for this up move. I don't think my traders would have stayed in this trade. If they buy it, it's probably going to be a break-even trade. Right? That would have been a break-even trade based on all of that. So it still looks upside. It still looks like this now is the sharp impulse. And we're getting a correction here. Right, so far. So there is still a buy setup above the top, or maybe above here, depends on how your ability to deal with risk for the upside. If it comes lower, and the possibilities it could come lower, if it comes lower, that's when I'll take it off. But right now we're looking at the possibility that we can be doing this. Get a pullback, go there, get a pullback, go there. And we actually bought this and we bought that. So this should be a buy. You make another flag, you do that, that should be a buy. You could get break even in the second one, but you'll get this trade. And then you'll be looking for downside because that would be a perfect running flat if that happens. So right now, this is a buy setup. Unless it comes lower. It comes lower, you change it for a sell setup. Aussie. Aussie is still a sell. Aussie was a sell here and Aussie is still a sell. So you're still getting a sell setup on Aussie here because it's making a flat. Looks like a flat. It looks like it's going to be a more long drawn out flat because this one doesn't look very impulsive up. Right, this looks very slow. So we might come back here and go back there. So that means you have to manage the trade and decide where you enter, how you enter. But the safest place right now is under the low. If they drop suddenly, I don't think they're going to drop suddenly. New Zealand, same here. You've got a sell setup and it's going down. We know where these are going. Aussie and New Zealand have the very similar structure. Let me just go back to them so I can show you again. We made a flat there. We come down. We're coming to break this low, and then we'll see how far it goes. So this was the big one from the top coming down, and then we'll see where that goes. On the new Aussie was the same thing. If you go back and you remember, and I think you should go back sometimes and watch my old recording when it was here, right? And I told you we have to go there and break this top. And when we break the top, then we're going to come back up. I just go back and watch the webinar, look at the date when that should be there, and then go back and check it. And you would see what we said at that point in time when we were going up. And remember, even when it was here, I said we would really wanted to break the top first before it turns. Because I think somewhere in here we thought it could turn, but I was like, I don't like it. I really want to see this thing break the top because breaking the top completes the pattern. It's not a contracting flat is when they don't break the top. Well, we are coming down and now we're going. I think we're going to go a little lower. I think there's a chance we could get to this 270 before we go back up. Right, and we will go back up because we are actually pulling, we're just correcting this move. See, we're in this move correcting. So the target we're looking for is that they could come to about a 270. So if you get a sell setup, go for it. If you get a sell setup and there's a possibility the trade could come here, it might not come in one move, but it's possible it's going to, you can drop here again, pull back, drop, pull back, drop, pull back, and you may get here eventually. These are all sell setups. As long as you get them, you can take the trade. You know where you're heading, right? In New Zealand, we did already the same thing. CAD, Turned out to be this is a running flat and we're going up more. So there was a sell setup first and then it dropped, became a break-even trade. You're looking at a buy. CAD is in an up move, right? We assume that this is the low. This is all the correction. The only option you would have had is, can it come back here and make a new low before it go, right? Can we make a bigger correction like this before it go? That might be your only thought process right now. Can it actually do that? Come back, make a new low here and then go, because this still is your impulse. The question is how much is correction you're going to have before you're still in the correction zone, right? Which means there can be more correction before it takes off to the upside. But buying it all the time, once you make a new low here, buying was a good idea. If you're buying, you're in a good idea. If you bought this, if you buy here, if you buy there. Right now, if we get a buy setup and you go for it, it's a good idea. Do we have a buy setup? Well, it starts to look like we're making a buy setup here because it did make a new high here. So it's kind of like, if you look at all of this as some kind of a correction, which means if this comes back here, drop again, then yes, that's a buy setup. As it stands right now, it looks like they're trying to drop, like if this is making a small correction here to drop lower. But we don't have a sell setup. You can't sell under this low as yet because there are many pullback in here. So what do you do in that case if you're looking to trade it? Well, let it drop. Let it actually drop. Let the first one happen. And then once you break this last impulse, any pullback after that becomes your sell setup. And that becomes an amazing sell setup, especially in a pattern where they can go lower, which means they can come back, retest this low, and then go. Now, I don't believe they're going to retest the low. Now, this is not the analysis. This is just my experience kicking with belief system. And this belief is not what you trade. I believe very strongly that we might just make a big consolidation here and then take off. So I would be watching, waiting to see what it does. And when it does what I see it's doing and how we're going to trade that, then we'll take the trade. So you don't trade the belief system. You have to just trade what you see in the chart based on the patterns that you see, right? That is what should create your belief system, not your experience so much. Your experience is just aiding you in the trading. So right now, I think it's going to consolidate there, but let's see. I'm not selling as yet. Yen. So yen dropped. We were expecting at least one more up here in this little piece, and then they pull back deep because it will make deeper pullback. And the reason it always makes deeper pullback, if you look at the bigger picture, that's not such a deep pullback as it. We've had deeper pullback like that. On the way up, yeah, you've got a lot of deeper pullback. So what is the forecast? The forecast is going to come break this. And we made the forecast in this flag here. We already broke out of that flag. We broke the top. So by all rules, the flag is fulfilled. So when I said this is going to go up, it actually went up. It broke the top. So by all rules, that flag has fulfilled its requirement. We broke the top of it already. Now, the question is whether this was going to continue to go up very fast or if we're going to make a deeper correction before it goes. So you come to the daily and that possibility exists, that they can make a deeper correction. This could come here, make a deeper correction like this one. See that big running flat? We could get another deep correction here. I don't know, something like this, drop here again and then go. That is possible. Right? I do think they will break the top. And I like I said, I always like on the Aussie, right? I wanted to break the top because then that gives us a complete pattern. That gives us a regular flat that is normal and easy to trade, right? When you haven't broken the top as yet, when the top is not broken as yet, then it means you're aiming for a contracting flat, like we have on the dollar index and we have in euro. We're assuming that those are weekly contracting flats, daily contracting flats, right? They will eventually prove to be that, or they will prove to be bigger corrections. Right now, I don't think this is making bigger corrections. I think we're going to break the top. It looks very much like that. The only way we would change that to believing it is going to be running a contracting flat, which means this here will be the top of that structure, and we're going to come down to it from here, which means this would be 1, 2, 3, is when this comes deep enough into here and makes a bigger correction. That will confirm more downside, and then we'll say, oh, well, yes, it's a contracting flat. We wouldn't get to that top. Very much ending as it stands right now. We're assuming that this is just one pullback, one deep pullback, and that means we have to wait to see what it's going to do. How deep the first move is going to be, how corrective the second move is going to be, the depth of the correction of the second move will tell you whether you're going to go up, right? So on the second move here, if this correction comes deeper back to the top, all we're going to do is make 1, 2, 3 and go up. If it stays in this level, you can sell. assuming that it's going to be deeper. So right now it looks like we're going to go deeper because it seems like they came down back here. It's going up again. So we'll assume that this is making a flat here. This should go back up a little more. We broke the low just now. So this could totally take off, or this could just come back to about this level here and then drop. So once it gets back to about that level, we will put a sell order in here. There will be an order to sell it here under the low. And if it continues to go up, if this continues to go up, it has to break out, make flags, and then we are going to start buying this to the upside, assuming that you're going to have a bigger flat pattern. So assuming that this would just come up like that, come back here and then go. All right, so let's see. Right now, there's a sell setup, no buy setup as yet. And the sell setup is short term. It's still in a correction as of now. Dollar Swiss. This one broke the top and is going down as expected. And that is why I think yen could make a deeper pullback, because this should come down here first, and then it should go right back up to the top. Right? I showed you these patterns before, and you can remember when I showed you this pattern. You should probably have taken a snapshot of it already. Was when we were doing this and we were going up to break this top. And the assumption is when we break that top, that's when I put this arrow, and I said the likelihood is they're going to come back here because we have this. And then they should go back up there because we have this. Two of those move already fulfilled themselves. And then they should come down back for this because we have this. Well, it's starting to come down. So let's see whether they actually fulfill this. Could it be a more long drawn out one like this, where they come back here and then go back there and do this and then come here? Yeah, that's possible. So it's not a case of, oh, when they started, well, he said it's going to go down, it's not doing. I'm not telling you where it is going to. I'm telling you at the moment with what we have the information, this is the next possible pattern. Can it become a more complex pattern? As that complexity develops, we're going to make those forecasts. We're going to show you the next move in a more complex pattern. But as of now, it's a simple flat. Don't make it complex. Don't put on your imagination as yet. Let it give you that information that is possible. Then you put that on, right? You don't forecast something because you think it could be complex. You have to wait to see that it's becoming complex. And then you said, okay, great. This is becoming more complex. So let's look for a complex pattern. So right now we've got a drop. This is perfect. Some of my traders should definitely be in that sell. And now we need a consolidation. See all these consolidations here? See all of this? We need just one. We don't need a lot of them. We need one consolidation here. And if we get this, we're going for the sell. Right? Can we buy this? Can this actually go and make a new high? Well, so far it's possible. We don't have a flag on it. There is a small flag here, but I'll probably buy something else rather than buy this one to the upside, because this one potentially could not go very far and come down back. So I wouldn't be buying this until we actually break this top, or until I get a bigger correction, not on a small flag. Let's wait and see what this does, right? How it behaves, and then we'll see. So what happens if it just shoots up to the top there? Well, nothing. It will have to make a correction above that top, and then we'll consider more buys. As of now, there's a chance it could just consolidate within this range and then fall. Euros, it did go up, did make a new high. We're making a bigger correction. That's the assumption. We're making a bigger correction here. So if you actually get into the sell setup, I think there might have been a sell setup. If not, wait for a flag, take the trade down to the bottom here. This could turn out to be a running flat, by the way, right? Because the correction is in here. So you might get 1, 2, 3, go back up one more and then come down. So let's see if we have a sell setup. Well, there was a sell setup. The trade is gone already. The entry order should have been, sorry. The entry order should have been under this flag, which is this small running flat, right? There's a small running flat. You'll wait for until this drops some more, make another flag and then sell. Another flag, another correction or something, and then you look for a sell. You're a cat? Also coming down, and this one is interesting. So the thought process was that this could either be the low or this could be part of a bigger expanding flat. First, I thought the running flat. So you see this top here? I just wanted it to come tag the top there and then come back down, which would be a perfect running flat. right? They actually broke it. So if we're looking at this as a correction, it will be an expanding flat, which means this drop, make a new low, and then go back up, right? So are we going to make a new low? We don't know that here as yet. Now, if you were selling it this morning, this would be your sell. And it's not a bad sell, actually, if you assume that that is it. You could assume that this is already consolidation. This is the low, and we're going up totally. I mean, in the daily, this is the weekly low, it's a daily weekly low, right? If you look at it in the daily weekly, you'll see that. It's a daily weekly low. See this? So when you get a low like that, you're always looking for the upside to start. It doesn't mean it's going to start right now, but it could start. So on the daily, you could do two things. You could assume that we're making an expanding flat here. This one is going to make a new low and then start the upside. Or we're starting the upside right now. This is the low. This here is the low, and we're going up. So if that is the case and you sell this, you have to be very, very cautious. Right? You might want to sell it for the expanding flat, and that's not a bad idea, but you have to manage it very well. But if this is the stop here and go back up, pull back here and go, this would be a perfect buy setup. It means we will buy. The buy is a must because the upside is huge. The sell is, well, if you like the trade and you think you can handle the risk, it's worth it. Right now, this sell is worth it. I personally don't like the sell, but like I said, because of the weekly low, because these are turning points. This is when you will start to find that there's a bigger move to the upside. You just don't know if it's ended exactly at this point or there's going to be one more low. So this is a small flag. If you sell it, you just have to manage your way up to the worst case, make it break even. If it comes lower under this, or it makes a deeper correction to fall, that would be a better sell. So let's say it comes like this, start to go back up and you end up at something like this. This would be a much better sell. What would be the buy? You needed to go back all the way to the top here, come back down here, and then that becomes your buy. We don't have that setup as yet. So maybe sometime midweek, if we get all those setups changing or they're forming so that you can have more confirmation, I'll probably do another update during the week. Okay, so this was a sell. You would take it out for break even because it's not going anywhere, and that's the right thing to do. We did make a low, and we're turning with a flag in it. Now, it might be worth buying this flag for two reasons. One, come back to this top here, white within the same correction, which is come back to this level, and then drop again, or totally breaking out. What if it just comes to this level and go down like the little piece like this? You can manage your way out for break even easily, right? So what's the big picture in this? We're going sideways, and at some point, like I said, they will probably start to go back up. Literally, this thing at some point will start to go back up. So this buy here might not be a bad idea. Europound, it's coming down back again. We're in a big sideways move. Really big sideways move. We actually went up. We were there. We dropped to the low, and I said every time they drop to the low, you got to be careful. Get the hell out of the trade. Can it go back up to the top? Well, we have seen that happen, right? I don't know whether this would be one going back to the top. Selling it here is not a good idea. It's not a good sell setup as such. And we don't have a buy setup. So probably just wait some more on this one. Euro New Zealand. This could be a sell. So on the Euro New Zealand, two things you have to be aware of here. You go to the weekly and you have to look at this price structure. So this is what we gave you. Remember when this was coming down? We said, watch this one here. Watch this. And what's this? Because if that completes itself, you're going to have this going up. This is your flat. Kind of a 1, 2, 3, depending on how you look at the correction. That's irrelevant now. What is relevant now is getting this move here. So let's make an assumption that it started. Let's go back to the 1 hour. Let's make an assumption that this was the low. And that we're actually going up very nicely. There were a few buys in here if you wanted to take them. They're risky. You probably took break even out of a few of them, and that's okay. And now you're here with this. What we want to see is we want to see this go back up here, come here, and then perfect. You have to be in that buy because if this is starting the weekly one, this would be a perfect buy setup for the upside. If we're starting that weekly up move, and it's going to go really fast. So if we get this consolidation here, this would be a must buy for us. Can it retest the low and then go back up? Because there's more to the downside, as you can see. The assumption is that it will come a little more here. This would be the equivalent of the previous down move, right? The previous impulse down. They don't have to be equal. This is more than enough. From this point going up would be perfect. Can it drop one more? Yes. Do we have a sell setup? No. Can we get a sell setup in it? Well, if they make a flag, we'll sell it. I'll rather see a very good flag. I'll not sell a very small flag because that would be useless. I want to see a bigger flag before I sell. A bigger correction, to be exact, I would want to see something more like this before I decide I'm selling. On the buy side, well, if they go back up here like this and come here, we're definitely buying. Can we buy into it? Can we buy into this B wave going up? Well, if you get a perfect setup with a good risk to reward, might be worth taking it. So let's wait and see. Euro yen. Okay, this didn't go up. It actually came lower. There wasn't any sell setup there. You probably would never see a sell setup. And when you think you're going up with a flat here, it just dropped, pull back, drop, and you just wait because there's no trade. Not to the upside, not to the downside. There's no trade setup as yet. Let's see what is the possibilities in the bigger picture. Well, we're in the sideways move and we broke the low. We broke it here once, we broke it a second time, no problem. I'm still looking for the upside. I would ignore small sells at the bottom unless it become a bigger sell setup. So I'll be looking for this one to go back up. What I would do is if this makes a really big correction here, yes, then I will sell. Small 1 hour flags, I'll ignore them for now. Because at a dangerous point to take those flags. You want a deeper correction, but the upside, any buy setup you get is a must, you'll take it. All right, so we'll see if we get any buy setup, we'll definitely take it. Pause. Okay, so this was making a correction. We end up with a contracting flat. The idea was that this would come down slightly like this, break this low, and then go back up. That would be perfect. Well, it didn't break the low and go up. Well, that's when you confirm the contracting flat in there. There is a contracting flat somewhere in here. If you go back and you figure it out, there's a contracting flat there. I don't think it's a triangle. I think it's more of a flat. We'll have to check it. But it looks like a triangle. So if you want to say there's a triangle and there's 5 waves in there, great. If you can find it, perfect. If you can, then go with the flat. And now we're coming down. So what's the big picture telling us? This is what we have. Right? Okay. Is it possible that we're going to make a new high? Right? That based on this is actually going to go make a new high. I don't think so. I think we just made, we made a deep correction and we probably could be coming down. Or, well, they make a flat here, a small flat here, and go make a new high and then come back down. This would all still be correction. We might even look at this as a possible running flat starting from here, going back up there and then dropping. So let's see if that possibility exists. Put it here. Could be. You go with that. I think we can make an argument for that this is it or this is a flat of its own. So what do you have here now? Just a sharp move up. So any sell setup is guaranteed to come back and retest this low. And then from there, we'll see. So do we have a sell setup? Nope. On the 1 hour, no. But you might be getting a sell setup here right now because there is a small flag forming in here. So a sell setup under the low might make sense with a stop above the top. And then you manage the trade. A deeper correction to the downside. Or making it, breaking the low. Pound New Zealand, we're breaking out of the structure. So we might retest the top. Right. We're breaking out of this structure. So the chances are we will go and retest that top. You break out of a structure like that, the chances are you might come back and retest this top here. It's going to be more of something like that. So what would be the trade setup? Wait for confirmation, wait for a correction or something forming here. It's more like a flag right now. So this was a buy setup, this was a buy setup, but this should be a bigger one. This should be something like this, a bigger flat. So I'll wait for a bigger flat, no sells, wait for a bigger flat, and then we look for the buy setup. Pound we broke the top, so let's see what we're looking for. Yeah, we could be looking for a sell. This is perfect. You can make an argument that you have we looked at this way, that this is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you get a flag here, go for the sell, break the low again. Right? So let's see, we have a flag. We're getting a flag actually. It's making a flag. You're kind of coming back here. They should pull back here, make this a flat, and go for that trade. What if it just dropped like this to go back up? Well, you try to get break even out of it. So I think once it's pulled back a little, the sell setup is a good idea. Pound Swiss. Okay, where are we in the big picture? This is where we are. This is what we have. Where I was expecting this to break out from this point here and go up, making a new high, but we didn't. So we'll take this off for now. It's still possible. It's not there as yet. But this is sideways, right? You can see that this is literally going sideways. We just need to see whether we have a turning point. Sorry, let me just. Okay. Yep, sorry about that. Yep, we just need to see whether we have a turning point to the upside from here. Go to the 1 hour. Not as yet. It's not clear that they're turning as yet, so we'll wait. I'll probably wait to see, but the chances are if this go back up here, you could still make a flat, come down one more. So let's see if we get buy setups to go back to that top, and then we'll be careful as we come to the top because it could still be a flat for one more down. Pang Yen. Okay, so Pang Yen dropped, and now we're going to be in trouble because we'll have to look for running flats, series of running flats, not just one. So to get a running flat, you definitely want it to first pull back like this. So we want to pull back like that, finish this one, and then look for downside here. All right, that is the setup we have now. You might even get 2 running flats in the future. So if you get a sell setup here, you'd have to take the trade with caution, with very, very, very great caution. And this becomes a sell setup, and it is making a sell setup. Right, you're getting a pullback here. You get this, you get this, you get a sell setup here. You'd have to take it for one drop, just one drop at a time, which means take a trade, take your profit out, because at some point you start to go back for this sharp wave and for this sharp wave. Aussie yen dropped, so and we don't have a running flat in here. Well, we can make an assumption that this flat is finished. We don't have a running flat here, so but we can go with this as a possible 1, 2, 3 here, because we did tag the top, so you could go with that as all the correction. This would be a flag and this would be a flag. At that point in time, I thought this was still all flag for one more up and then drop. So if you miss the drop, all you have to do now is come back here. We're expecting the downside, right? There's no question about the downside. It's just whether that give a complete pattern to take a sell. Right? Maybe you didn't get a sell because the pattern was not that perfect. Wait for this to make a flag and sell this back to the low. You still get this trade to get, right? So we can go with this trade to this point, and then from here we'll start to go up, right? It's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. You got 1, you get 2, you're coming down for a 3. Then we'll go back up. So there's still, this consolidation will still give you a sell setup. That's it. It's consolidating right now, so very good setup for a buy, for a sell. We're consolidating in here. And let this consolidate, go back up, give you this trade, put an entry under the low and go for that trade. Aussie CAD. Take it off. If you sold, it's a break even. There might be a sell setup again. It's likely going to be a break even. It's not moving as yet. Let's consolidate there for completely, and then we'll look for a sell. Aussie Swiss. Where are we in the big picture? Okay, they could probably still go down some more. We're still in downside. So consolidation here means drop the break below. Let's see in the 4 hour. 1 hour. Nothing as yet. Let's see if we get a good consolidation. Could it be that they're going back up? I'd run them to break the low first. So let's see if they consolidate here, and then we'll go for the sell. We don't have any trade set up in it. Aussie New Zealand. You bought, you probably get another buy setup. You exit that trade at the top here, and you're looking, well, very close to the top. There was a turning point. You can see it. We're consolidating here, so I think it's more upside. I think this is going more up because we have a consolidation, and most of these consolidation break to the outside. Right? So we probably go break this top and then come back. You see, we had a consolidation here. See this? That was pretty easy, right? It went up. You're getting a consolidation here. You're gonna go up. Pretty simple. Canadian actually come to the top, drop nicely. I don't know if anyone wanted to see. We're still in this move going down, right? And we still don't know whether that's the start of the move to the downside or some kind of a leading diagonal, or whether it is actually going to go back up. So how do you tell the difference? It's pretty easy. Once they break through that structure and consolidate here, we're selling. Right? Once it consolidates under that structure, it has to stay there and consolidate. We're selling. If it goes back into the structure, make a flag, we're buying. So we're literally out of the structure here, consolidating. That's a sell setup. Consolidating here, we will look for a sell setup, and we'll see where that goes. Susian, this was a sell. You probably got a break even or a very, very short trade, very short profit. Didn't go very far. So let's wait and see. Take this off. That's a sell. Look for another flag, sell it again. If you get another flag here, sell it. It's going slow, but it's going to keep going. So every flag you get, you can sell. Yeah, if we get another flag here, that is a sell setup. New Zealandian, sorry, sell setup you're getting here. You can literally see them making a flat. Go back there and then sell. Under 1 hour, it's more like a correction, a small correction for a sell. Swiss, New Zealand, Swiss. It's a big picture. We're actually going down deeper. So we made this, we kind of make 1, 2, 3. This was looking very corrective for upside, this piece here. I'll probably assume that this should go back up there and then come down. But we've got a flat and it dropped. So we'll see. They're retesting the low. I'll put this like this. All right, that's just a deeper correction within the same structure. See, within the same structures, that's a deeper correction. This should come back and break the low here and then look for upside. We'd expect it to go break the low. So if you get sell setups, take the trade. Any sell setup you get here would be a good trade. Cat Swiss, nice running flat, nice drop actually. Let's see if we can get trades. Yeah, you can trade it back to this low. Any setup you get here for a sell is a good idea. We don't have the sell setup as yet, but as soon as this consolidates a little more here, we can go for the sell. New Zealand CAD, kind of going sideways, stay out of this. The possibility of both, it's consolidating in the middle, it would stay there for a while and then move. Okay, this could be a sell setup coming on. We're in this trade, so we've got to move up. We've got to move down. We've got to move up. So can they go up one more? Yeah, possible. But if it consolidates here, sell it. Assuming this is the top of that correction. It's a good sell. Let it consolidate. We'll put an entry under the low and we'll wait for a drop, a sudden, very sudden drop. Let's go. UK oil. Good. We're still in the bigger corrective structure. I think I told you about this. There's a running flat in the making here. Last week, I expect this to go back up, make a running flat. That's what we have, and then they drop. There was a sell setup here, a very small sell setup. We're pulling back. Can we make this a 1, 2, 3 and go back up? Possible. Can it be the start of a bigger downside? Also possible. Right now, it looks more upside. Right, in the 1 hour, we've got a sharp impulse here, and you're getting a consolidation here. That's upside. If this consolidation drops lower like this, pull back, that's a sell setup, that's downside. So as it stands right now, we're making an upside move. And so for the US oil. Natural gas already went up. That was your buy setup on Friday. Hope you took profit out of that because we're going down, and where are we heading for? Probably heading for a new low. So I like this one here. That's a sell. And we're probably heading to break this low. So that's a good trade. If you get this is coming to break this low, and then we'll see where it goes from there. US 30 went up and then dropped to the bottom. So bigger picture played off. This one actually went, it didn't go all the way to the top, which is a good one. And then they started drop. So probably you would find a sell setup there if you did, if you're paying attention. If you didn't get any sell setup, then just wait for this to come back here. Wait for this to make a correction, come back to this level. And at this stage, we'll see whether they go back up or whether they break through. Both of those are possible, right? So we're pretty much within this. 1, 2, 3, go up. 1, 2, 3, go up. Could it make another 1, 2, 3 here like this? Could we make a bigger correction? Well, if they make a bigger correction, we know what they're going to do, right? But if it consolidates small here and drop, it's likely going to drop through the bottom. So keep an eye on that one. Let's go. Same here. All right. Go back. But this one was an easy one because we had a perfect flat. Right? This one was more of a perfect flat for a sell. So the sell here was easier. You're working it, right? Now, what we'd expect, same thing. We're in an uptrend and we can expect a deeper correction, which means you can expect them to do one of this move down, one of this down, one of this down, pull back here and drop. Maybe pull back, drop, and then go one more up. Right? So let's go. Same here. I think you had a nice flat for a sell. Perfect flat. 1, 2, 3. The sell probably would have come in on this flag here. A small flag. There's another flag here. There's a correction here. So there were 3 sell setups. Now you're getting a buy setup. What's the big picture? This could literally go back up. If you look at this as the running flat, then we can go make a new high. So the buy is not a bad idea there. Buy is actually a very good idea. PayPal, one more downside. So take the sell, is going for one more sell and then could go up. So, keep your eyes on it. Amazon already going down. That's a nice sell setup there, by the way. You're heading back to the low. So good, we're in a channel. You can see that. So let's see. We're coming back to the low. German DAX was a sell. I hope you realize that. We broke the top. It's an all-time high. I think we actually made this sell in our room. We took the sell setup on this one because we had this running flat in play. Perfect running flat. So this was a sell setup. I don't think you would look at this as a sell setup. It's too sharp. You'd probably give it, but let them make some corrections here. I don't think we're getting a buy setup as yet. Let's see the bigger picture. Not really. I don't think we're getting a buy setup as yet, but we might get some consolidations there. We might end up with some consolidations in here and then they drop. That would be a good trade. That would be perfect if that happened. So look for sell setups. We might be turning and we might be turning for a very big move to the downside. 1 hour. Aussie 200. It dropped without going up. So if you take this out, I don't know what you would get. I would not have got that sell. And I think we still have to be careful because we broke downwards, but we never break these stops. So can we look at this as a possible flat in here? For one more up as a 1, 2, 3, let's say 1, 2, 3, and this goes back up. I think that would not be surprising. Okay. You can look at this as a 1, 2, 3, and up again. Yeah, I think the upside wouldn't be surprising. Let's see how far it can go. I wouldn't buy this yet, but if they consolidate there more, then yes, this can become a buy. Just have to wait for more consult. Do we have a sell set up on it? Probably not take the sellers yet. Let's wait some more. Nifty. Good. It's pulling back again, so it will probably make another correction, drop again. It's going down. So every correction you get, you can sell. There might be 1 hour 15 minutes flag for very short-term buys in the correction. BF Finance, if we're going back up, just correction, so you can buy. Reliance, look for buy setups. Reliance, we can look for buy setups. We might be heading back to the top now. This might be heading back to the top. So if you get a flag or a buy setup, you can go with trade. Tesla. This one is coming down strangely. It's coming down like a flat of its own, not the impulse we were expecting downwards. So if this makes a flat here and drop, we go for the sell. If it makes a flag here and drop, you go for the sell. Right? The sell right now could be shorter, but you can still take it. Copper didn't go very far, it's just sideways. We can make an argument that this is the flat. And this is going down. Well, then in that case, just go for this trade. That makes sense. Let's see if we get it. That's a good trade, by the way. Bitcoin. Okay, it didn't get to this line. So we're looking at this possibility here, and we're saying that Bitcoin could come back two ways. You can look at it. It could come back to just about here and then make a new high. That's possible. Or we could break through and come to this level, make a running flat here, and then go make a new high. Because we broke the top, right? Those are the two possibilities. Every time you break the top, you're expecting it to pull back and do something. So we're still in this move going up. And you're kind of consolidating. You're starting to look like that's a running flat. And this piece here is starting to look like a running flat. This piece. Because this one is, well, relatively sharp. There's a big flat here. And this one is relatively sharp. So we can look at this as a running flat, which means if that's the case, look for sell setups. Do we have a sell setup? Well, you might be getting a correction here right now. That might be worth taking. So when you take this trade, you'll have to be, if I take this trade, this is how I do. I'll watch it when it comes to this level because it can go back up. I'll get out for break even. But if it drops through the bottom like that, that's the trade I'm going for because I'm assuming that this is a running flat. That's an assumption of now. That this is a running flat and it will drop. If this turns out to be a flag, that's a buy setup. And I mean, well, if it comes here and start to go back up like this, that will become a buy setup. Right now, it's a possible sell setup with a very tight stop. I think you want to, if you know how to trade and you know your strategies and you're looking at it, you think, well, maybe I have a trade setup here. So we did break the low. This was the flat, you broke the low. What's next? When you break the low, you're expecting it to drop. Instead, they're pulling back. So can we go with all of this still in the correction? A bigger correction, a running flat possibility. If that's the case, then we're still in correction here. This could go up a little more, but expect it to drop. Well, let's assume we're not in correction. And when it drops, you see this big flat here and they drop, it just makes one impulse. So when it makes that impulse, here's what we'll have to look for. We'd have to decide whether this makes one more drop like this and go back up. Try this whole piece. Or does it break out? The sell is a good idea. See that? The sell is a good idea, especially if you get a sell setup. I don't think we have a sell setup yet. We have this, you can go with it. And if they go up one more, no problem. You get out to the trade and look for one more up, then the buy would be above the top. The sell would be coming back down. XRP, sell setup. Just if you get a sell setup for the top, great. If not, you'll have to take it under the low. We don't have the setup as yet. This looks upside. It pulls back and it drops, it's pulled back and drop. But we don't have a sell setup. You'll have to wait for it to come down, make a flag, and then go for the trade. Because we're not looking at any possible running flat like we're looking at on the Bitcoin. Okay. Can this go up more? Yeah, possible go up more and then come down. We're still coming down, but we're making sharp moves up first. This is totally sideways of the big picture. Oh yeah, this is totally sideways. There's a high probability that this thing is going to come back here before it goes. Because we're in this big move. and we can anticipate this was the move we were expecting. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually drops to this level and then go back up. Starting to look upside, but we haven't broken the low. I want them to break this low first. We want this to consolidate, drop beyond the low, then go back up. This would be a perfect flat. So let it come break the low, and then we look for the upside, right? Length, sell, still a sell. We still have to go break this low. Oh no, we don't have to break the low. We just have to come close to it. So you can start to look for buy setup because there's a good chance that this here is a running flat. And this will go one more up. So you can look for short-term buy setup there. LRC going sideways, you can get one more down. And then look for buy setup. Let's get this LTC. It's more down. Probably some more down. It's still going down very nicely. Wait for more consolidation to the downside. And TRX. This one should go back up at some point because we're expecting it to be more like a running flat with this 1, 2, 3 and go back up there. So if you start to get buy setup here, keep an eye on it for short-term trade, just short-term trade back to the top. That's it, guys. This one is a very long webinar. Try to keep it shorter next time. Everybody trade with care and take care. Sometime during the week, I'll do an update again for the YouTube viewers. If you like it, share it. Thank you very much. Bye.